That's nice. Jeff, what's this?
That's the apple snail that the limpkins are eating.
They're eating this? Hey, buddy. Wow, it's so pretty. Lake Nona is known for a lot of things, from its vibrant town center to its world-class sports and medical facility. But behind the scenes of all of that is something that you might not know about. I'm here with Jeffrey Thompson, who's the Director of Landscape Architecture here for Tavistock Development Company. And he's here to show me all of the different ways that Lake Nona is advancing sustainability and technology here in these beautiful lakes and landscapes. Jeffrey, thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Curtis, and I'm happy to be here. As you mentioned, I'm Director of Landscape Architecture here at Tavistock Development Company. So in that role, I basically am involved with all things landscape that have to do with Lake Nona, Sunbridge, and Tavistock Development Company.
So this morning, you're going to take me through several locations to see all of the different landscape initiatives you guys are working on. And my goal is to complete this photo scavenger hunt to try and capture as many pictures along the way.
We'll go to 3 locations today to look at how we're implementing some of our landscape initiatives. The first one is the lake zone, which you can see behind us. And here we're trying to focus on ways to make our lake environments more sustainable. Next, we'll be going to the Wood House, which will highlight how a typical homeowner can make their landscapes more sustainable. And then we'll end up in our meadows, which is primarily designed to enhance pollinator habitat, but it creates a better habitat for all sorts of wildlife.
Sweet, let's go check out the lakes.
Right.
First thing on the scavenger hunt is that bird. That's a limpkin. So I'm gonna try and get a good photo.
So the limpkins were an endangered species. They've come back and no longer listed as such, but they aren't very common. There's a couple of snails that we've introduced that they're eating here. Since I've been here for the past 3.5 years, I've seen 3 generations of them fledge. They're expanding their colony here. So we're really happy to see something like that here at Lake Nona.
So Jeffrey, why is it so important to think about wildlife and food chain sustainability in a community here like Lake Nona?
I mean, the bottom line is we're trying to make a healthier environment. And we're doing that in a number of ways. Like the plants that we're introducing, that's kind of like the building block. You're providing all this habitat for this wildlife. To make our lakes more sustainable, one of the things we're doing is introducing aquatic plants. Number one is they provide shelter for all the animals and fish and things that live here. Critical components of those you can see out here are water lilies. The lily pad provide places for these fish to hide and protect them from predators. Another important component of the aquatic plants are the fact that they clean the water.
So it's like shade and home for the fish, and it's filtration for the water.
Exactly.
So you mentioned mosquito control, and I'm curious, as someone who hates mosquitoes, what does that have to do with these lakes here in a city like Lake Nona?
Mosquitoes are a natural part of the environment, but obviously we need to control them. And for years, the focus for control has been spraying the lakes and spraying the air. And that's really not good for the environment. Killing other types of wildlife kills butterflies, kills other pollinators. It's just not really a good way to go. Instead of that, we've introduced mosquito fish in the lake, and those take care of all the mosquito larvae. We also rely on bats and purple martins to help control our adult mosquito population. Purple martins are migratory. We've put up a lot of purple martin houses, and they pass through in the spring. But then the bats live here all year round, and we put up these small bat houses. You can get up to 150 bats living in one of those bat houses.
Whoa.
So bats will control the mosquito population at night. The bats love them.
Oh look, they're all by the water here. Got another thing off the list? Ducks, check.
Welcome to the WIT House. WIT stands for Wellness, Health, Built on Innovation and Technology. This is basically a typical attached single-family house, and we're showcasing sustainable aspects that any homeowner could introduce at their house in their own landscape, create a more sustainable garden, one that's better for the planet, more environmentally available to whatever insects, wildlife might want to live there. One of the least sustainable things anybody can have in their landscape in Florida is turf grass. It has to be mowed once a week, putting carbon into the atmosphere. It needs the most fertilizer, the most water, pesticides, so it's not a very sustainable option. We came up with alternatives to turf, which are by and large flowering ground covers. Great for pollinators. They come for nectar for the flowers. You don't have to mow them either. We incorporated some plants that you can actually just walk out your front door, pick the leaves, and make your own tea. So here you see a native Florida Yopon holly. It's been used to make tea for tens of thousands of years by the Native Americans, and that's something you can grow at your house and make your own tea. You can see all kinds of the mason bees. They're native, 100 times more effective at pollinating than a honeybee, but there are not as many left because so much development has impacted their habitat. In today's modern landscapes, you don't see dead trees, you don't see dead branches, and that's typically where they make their nests. If you're trying to encourage pollinators like mason bees, it's great to put in a mason bee house, and we'll lay their eggs in there and mud up the front and produce the next generation of mason bees.
That's cool.
This is more of a horticultural landscape because it's the entrance to the hotel, but it sets the tone for kind of the wildness of the meadows. We're here in the meadows, and we've created really a large pollinator garden, which is obviously great for things like butterflies, honeybees, lots of native bees to provide enhanced habitat for the pollinators, things that produce lots of nectar. We have things like thryallis, firebush, firecracker plant, and one thing we did interestingly along here, we contract grew lots of native perennials. Different species come up at different times of year. It's an effort to always have something blooming in the perennial garden for the pollinators. Our plants not just that produce the pollen and nectar for the adults, but what we call larval food sources for the caterpillars. We didn't forget about that, so we included some plants in here that are important to critical species. You can see this little palm-looking type of plant, that's called a zamia, and there's a rare endangered butterfly in Florida called that atlatl butterfly that uses that for larval food source.
Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to show us all of the landscape initiatives you guys are working on here. Where can people go to learn more and find out about what you guys are working on?
Absolutely, it's my pleasure to participate. I think the best thing to do is just come out and see for yourself here at Lake Nona.
Sweet. All right, you guys know where to look. Come out here to Lake Nona and check out all of the amazing landscapes here, and you'd be surprised, you might learn something new. See ya.
Bye-bye.